Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another episode of the Mike Prince Show here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. I'm excited to bring this, I'm going to say, young man back with us. He was very popular on the show that we did with him, and he is, as I say, the good son of PV Nation, and that is none other than the infamous band director, Dr. Tim Zachary of the PV Marching Storm. How you doing today, sir?
I am wonderful, and good morning to the PV Nation. It's always great to talk and get some stuff out in the air and make sure the family understands what we're trying to do.
Yes, sir, and getting some stuff out in the air. The last time you and I spoke, it was a little bit about the dialogue about what the bands can and can't do. Since then, I've been able to go and look at the rules and try to get some type of comprehensive from my point of view. I've spoken with the head referee, Mr. Harold Mitchell, about this situation, and he's going to look into it. But can I just say this, that the rule sucks. it just absolutely sucks. And a lot of
get no disagreement from me or any other band director, I promise you.
But a lot of people that come out for the game day experience, they're looking upside your head on game day and fussing at you, right?
Oh, definitely. I got a gentleman who's an avid fan of the Marching Storm and Purview in general, and he came up to me after halftime in the last game, and he was asking, he said, "Man, you guys did a great performance at halftime, but, we just want more music during the game." And, I was trying to explain to him that he wanted some old school, I believe. And we have 72 songs in the book. We could play for 5 hours nonstop, if required, nonstop. So it's not the lack of material, but it's definitely the hindrance of the rules. And the rules simply state that while the ball is in play, you cannot play. When the team breaks the huddle, you cannot play. Well, if anyone has watched our games in recent times, you realize that they're moving more and more toward a no-huddle offense. So the only time we get to really play is during a timeout, which is a 30-second timeout, and maybe a little bit longer if it's a television timeout. And I don't think that is translated very well to the audience to realize that there's no old school song I know that's 20 seconds or 14 seconds. I just don't know them.
Well, they say maybe they want you to play warp sound and warp speed so they can get that satisfactory of hearing the bands play, because it is part of the game day experience. We're speaking right now with Dr. Tim Zachary, the band director for the PV Marching Storm, and about the challenges from just the game day experience. Now, there are a lot of moving parts that are going on. How many members do you have in your band, Doc?
There are about, that was my computer. We have about 360, and then we have a support staff of about 25. So it's about 380 people. Okay,
380 people, and that's a lot of different personalities. I know there are different sections, but you got 380 different personalities, attention spans, and this, that, and the other. I have the luxuries. I live within walking distance of the campus, so I get to hear the practice sessions, the late night burning of the midnight oil. Just give a basic outline of what it takes for you guys to prepare for a game, i.e. a show.
That's a terrific question, and we try to be as meticulous as possible when we put together a schedule. We think about the end game first, and then we work backwards. But as it relates to the daily life of the students, they come in about 5:30 in the afternoon, and we release rehearsal at about 9:30, 10 o'clock. And in between that time, we have to have stand music rehearsal, field rehearsal, sectional rehearsal to go over whatever material that's new, dance routine rehearsal, just basic strategy to make sure that we're moving throughout the week toward whatever the performance is at the end of the week. And for every performance, the show is geared specifically for that audience.
And with that, it could vary. Like, for instance, we have 2 games remaining in the regular season. Both of them are home games. Are you planning anything in particular for the final game of the season that you might not have revealed just yet, or is it going to be business as usual?
I sat down with the staff on this Monday after the Zachary State game, and I've gone out and had an opportunity to look at some other bands and to judge a lot of the bands over the course of the semester. And I'm realizing that we're all in this hurry up and perform atmosphere. And that's basically because there are some elements in play that I don't think that the average person puts together, even though it's around them all the time. When I was in the band in 1988 to 1992, if you got to see the band, it was because you went to the game or somebody told you about the performance. Rarely would you set up this large video camera in your house to watch a performance of the band. But now, as you fast forward 30 years, everything that we do is visually out there and auditory or in audio form. It's out there from the day that we do it. So the next performance, we have to one-up ourselves every week. And imagine being in that cycle of performance where you don't get to perfect anything because everything you do is old because someone just saw it as soon as you did it. And I think that we're all in that cycle where YouTube is killing us as far as the way we do business and the excitement about band. You can't get excited about something you watched online 20 times. So even when you see it live, it's a disappointment to you because you just watched it 20 times at your house.
So the old saying that the same thing that makes you laugh can end up making you cry.
Yes, sir. And it's definitely that this cycle of events that we're in right now, and it's not just TV, it's all HBCU bands. We're always trying to find what's going to make our audience stand and cheer and what hits that spot for them as far as entertainment. But you have to realize that this particular segment of society in this particular day and age, they're entertained all the time. All the time, in every way possible. So now, something that would have been extremely entertaining 20 years ago is pretty much a passé now. So I don't know unless we're going to get a helicopter or a battleship or I don't know what's next for the audience. There's only so many dances you can do. There are only so many designs you can put on the field that are going to entertain the persons that you're trying to entertain, especially with them watching all of it all the time.
Right.
Before, there was a surprise factor. You didn't know what the band was going to do. But if you have 380 souls that are also in school as, engineering majors and architect majors and biology majors, which are the largest majors in the band, they also have those projects to do. They also have those reports to do. So this isn't the only thing that they do. And they do it well. And they do both of them well, both academics and the entertainment aspect of what we do. But we cannot bombard them with trying to create a new show every 10 minutes because somebody watched the other show 100 times.
You're making some very, very valid and conscientious points right now that I think the average person may have a tendency to overlook. They are students first, and with the requirement that it takes to perform at a high level for the Marching Storm and any of the other bands that we are accustomed to seeing in our world of HBCU, and being that engineer, nursing, or whatever major you are, there is a true art to a balancing act of time value that you have to tip your hat off to these young men and women.
Oh, yeah, and they're doing a wonderful job at it. You have some that are, stellar at it. And then we have those that we have to coach and we have to mold and we have to motivate to do the right thing. And that's what our job is. And I got an opportunity to sit down in an interview recently. And the gentleman asked me, well, what do you think about what makes Prairie View great? And I had to sit down and ponder that for a second. And I told him, being a band director or a director of bands, whatever you want to call it, is a privilege, number one. And I hold it in the highest regard with the highest level of respect. But at the end of the day, I know that I teach far fewer notes than I do life lessons. And I've come to realize after this 20 years of doing this, that those life lessons are probably more important than any note that I've ever taught.
Hmm.
So being engaged with these students and understanding the whole picture and not just seeing it as a performance, and making sure that the graduation rate continues to rise, making sure that when we look in the mirror, we see the history and tradition and the proudness of all the alums that have come before us and all those that will come after us, that we keep this living tradition going. But at the same time, we must grow like everything else grows. And we have to find whatever road we're on, what's at the end of that road for the band's future? How do we continue to deal with all of the technology or technological advances and still be relevant? And I think that is a question. It's a question that's bigger than I am. It's probably a doctoral thesis within one. How to make yourself relevant in a world where there's so many demands on the people that are working with you in other areas, but there's so many demands from the fans, and at the same time, you have this endless cycle of, well, I saw that already. You did that yesterday. And how many shows can you do in 15 weeks with people who are taking 15 credit hours? I guess at the end of the day, that's the band director's dilemma. How do you balance that upper echelons of performance with making sure that they perform well in all the other things after performing?
We're talking right now with Dr. Tim Zachary, band director for the Prairie View A&M University Marching Storm. Now, you just brought up a point that I was a personal, big, huge fan of, and that's the drum line. It used to be the time when the drum line would come out front and do their deal, and I always got fascinated about the precision and the timing that, one would throw the stick to the other end and this, that, and the other, and everything would be in sync. I guess that, quote unquote, has become old to most of the people that come out and watch the bands now.
I don't think it's old. I think that there is another culprit at play with that. If you go back and you look at the earlier performances of the Marching Storm, anywhere between 1991 and probably 2000, whatever, 13, 14, the drumline was a huge factor in the show. And what you also find is that the show time limit and constraints on the show have become less as far as the time. So at one point, you would have a 2-minute, 3-minute drill. Then you'd have a 2.5 to 3-minute performance by the Boxers at the time. And then you'd have a 2-minute performance by the Black Foxes. And then you'd have a 2.5-minute to 3-minute dance routine. Well, when you add all that up, you're talking about 9 to 11 minutes. Well, now the average show is 7.5 minutes long. They want you on and off the field in 7.5 minutes. The PVU that we do as a part of the tradition, the thing that I think helps define Prairie View and makes Prairie View different than any other band, in the opening statement that Prof. Ed put together, we've kept that in, but you also have to realize that it's 2 minutes of the show.
Wow.
Every show. You have 7.5 coming off the sideline and going into the PVU, followed by Entertainment Tonight, is 2 minutes. If there's a drum major intro, you're talking about 3 minutes. The show is 7.5 minutes on and off.
That's a short time to get a lot in. Short time.
Oh, yeah. Well, by the time you finish doing the statements that define you, you're already at 3 minutes. So you literally have 4 minutes to get the Black Foxes, and if you don't have the Black Foxes, Tim Zachary will be looking for a new job. No doubt about it. So you can't forget that. You can't leave it out. So that's another 1.5 to 2 minutes. So now you're at 5 minutes. Well, you still have to have a dance routine because if the band doesn't get out there and show up and show out, Zachary will be looking for another job. So you have to look at all of these variables. So you're already between the PVU. The drill has to be shorter because there's no space here. So you have a very truncated drill. So you're at 3 minutes. You give the Foxes 1.5 to 2 minutes. Now you're at 5 minutes. Well, now you have 2.5 minutes left. You need to transition to some type of setup so that the band can have a band dance. That's 20 to 30 seconds. So that's now that you're left with 2 minutes. And in that 2 minutes, you have to do a show that appeals to every age group from age 4 to 80. It has to have show, flash, class, and all those things in 2 minutes, and you have to be off the field, not coming off, but off the field in those 2 minutes. So, and I think that the shows when I was in college were 12 minutes to 14 minutes long. Okay, that's plenty of time to put on a true production. But when you try to truncate something that was 14 minutes long into something that's 7 minutes long, you're going to lose something. And we try to throw or put the MSD percussion performances in. I try to do them every year at Dallas, and we try to do them once at home, which means that we have to cut out some other segment of the show because time does not allow us to do it. And I don't know if the audience is aware of that, but literally we get a note every week saying, okay, make sure your show is between 7 and 7.5 minutes, maximum 8, and you're off the field. For homecoming, we got an extension, so we did a regular show, and that show appealed to more people because we were able to put more into that show and give different factions what they desire. But on a regular show, if there's another band here, we're both rushing out there to rush off the field. And I think that is something that's not widely known.
So then I guess you got a couple of options from what I'm gathered from you, Doc. They can, A, give you a little bit more time, B, give you a little bit more money to deal with this madness of trying to make it all fit, or C, not invite other bands that would allow you to have more time to do a full production. Those are pretty much your options, right?
That's it. And when you think about the history of Blackshear Stadium, it has only been in recent years that we've gotten as many visits from other band programs. Most band programs have never been to Prairie View.
Right.
So in the recent years, we've had just about every major conference band in our stadium: Alabama State, Southern University, of course, Texas Southern, UAPB, Jackson State. And that's just the name of a few that we've entertained here at home. So that in itself is, refreshing because now we have a true band competition and it's not just the home band. So I get the argument for both. But as you said, those options are limited. You're either going to have more time, which I don't see. When they cut the halftime from 25 minutes to 20 minutes, and then they're still telling you that the athletes have to have 4 minutes to warm up on the field. Well, that's a rule within the conference. And all of those things play into what we do on the field. So, we could ask for more time or extension, and I think we can only do that at classic games, and we may do that for the Texas Southern game this year.
Okay, because that would be considered a classic, even though it's being played after Thanksgiving. And thank goodness they're talking about bringing this back to its original form of the Labor Day Classic, which I think brings a whole lot of zeal and camaraderie, competition from both the band and the athletic playing surface. Would you agree with that, Coach? I'm sorry, Dr. Zachary.
I do. I really enjoy the Labor Day Classic. It's like feuding brothers and sisters to me. and that's a good thing. I can't find a single thing that I could say bad about any other institution like ours, because we have a charge that we must maintain, and that is to create a segment of society that is underrepresented, and we all do the same thing, and we all do it amazingly well. So there are no qualms about any school. Now, when it comes to band, that's a whole different story. I've never seen anybody shoot for silver medal. I just don't know that person.
Absolutely. If I do know him, I don't want to hang around him.
Exactly. You're not shooting for silver.
Yes, sir. Now, let me ask you this, Dr. Zachary. There are some programs, institutions that are challenged when it comes to traveling with their team, yet alone their bands. And I'm thinking of a couple of them. I'm not going to call them out for the sake of embarrassing. But when you have, or you look at your home schedule and you say, okay, we want this band here, we want that band there, do you then start in your mind putting together your show as far as the length and the routine that can be added for this particular game or the next game coming on? Or are there some that even with some of the strengths and some of the challenges and the pressures that you're receiving from alumni, do you say, as bad as I would love to have this competition with this band, let's not offer the invitation and let's just give them what they came for?
Well, that's the thing. In our conference, I wish that the collaboration and the forethought that you just put into that question was put into organizing these events, but it's not. We never know who's coming until they decide to pick up the phone. I publish a schedule at the beginning of August every year to let all bands know that we're coming, and then I make sure that we make a phone call 3 to 4 weeks out to let them know that we will be at the game, to make sure that they're prepared. But that doesn't happen in all cases. In fact, it doesn't happen in most cases. The athletics department may receive a call saying the band is coming, may. So there isn't a standard or a process or procedure that we could even follow to fix that. So we make sure that our shows are ready, and if they show up, we're ready.
Well, maybe we can be another productive moment for us here at Prairie View that you could initiate that, Doc.
Well, I brought this particular quagmire up at the SWAC Band Directors Conference, and this is one of the things that we talked about when we were in Atlanta this year, that we need some guidelines. If you're going to visit a band, the director needs to know you're coming, to make accommodations not only for your seating in the stands, but if you have any issues with meals or water or any of those other things, or just basic parking, that we're able to address those issues prior to you getting here. But, that went in and came out. We haven't come up with anything as of today.
All right. We're talking with Dr. Tim Zachary, the band director of the Prairie View A&M University Marching Storm. As always, your favorite here on the Mike Prince Show and the Open Mic Broadcast Network. We enjoy having you. But I do have a question that one of my listeners asked me to please relay over to you so they can get some explanation. And I forgot the last time we got together, so here it is. Why is it that the band uniforms are navy blue and not purple, gold, or white?
Oh, that is such a wonderful question, and it always makes me smile. It does. The uniform went from purple, being purple, to its current state of being navy blue, white, and gold in 1993. That was a transition. They got another set of uniforms in 1987, another set, I believe, in 2003, and a final set in 2008. Why they're navy blue and gold? I've heard lots of folklore that I'm not going to spread on your radio station, because that's exactly what it is.
Please enlighten us and then bring us to the truth.
Well, I've heard everything from the color purple didn't work for them because they didn't want to have the uniforms be purple, and then when they dry clean them, they would turn to other colors. To just, I don't like that particular color. And so it's a lot of folklore. Nobody has a definite answer as to why the uniform change. Number one was allowed, and it was allowed. It's been navy blue and gold for almost 30 years. But we do have a new set of uniforms coming out, hopefully by the end of this year. I enlisted the help of several band directors that I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and I call them the old guard. I know I'm going to get in trouble for calling them that, but that's what they are. They've been around for many, 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 many decades at many, many institutions. And I enlisted their help to come in and look at the uniform because I wanted to redesign it so that it showcased all the wonderful things that we're trying to do on the field, so that when we turn, the lighting effect, it catches your eye whether you want to look at it or not. Lighting is a human effect. It's not about whether you like it or not. If something moves in front of you, you have no option but to look at it because that's the way you're designed. So we have incorporated some purple in the uniform. I did hear I won't call them complaints, but I heard the critiques about the uniform. In fact, I got into a very long email trail a couple of years ago about that. And one gentleman said I changed the color because I went to another institution. I was like, well, when I was going to that institution is when you got that uniform.
Well, you can go ahead and call it out. We know you went to Southern University, and
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay.
But that's when you got the uniform when I was in college, not when I got here. So, like I said, it's been a challenge. I love the uniform because it defines TV. It has become like, the Coca-Cola bottle. I don't care how far away you stand away from it, it's a Coca-Cola bottle. And that's the branding that we want. And at the same time, in the new uniform, we're looking to brand the name of the band, but as well as pay homage to the institution, make sure that the school colors are in the uniform. So
am I hearing you correctly? I try to get clarity in all that I do. My mama taught me that.
When you start speaking slow, I know I'm in trouble.
Are we about to retire the navy blue, or are we about to have an alternative uniform?
We are not retiring the navy blue. I can't, like I said, I went over and over this particular question in my mind about the uniform. And I don't want any alum, and I could say this, safely, that if you went to TV in 1980, you didn't recognize the uniform in 1993. You just didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It was a totally different uniform with a totally different color that didn't represent what you thought of as the school color.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. So, being the negotiator that I try to be, I listened to those folks. I looked at all of the rules that we have as far as logos and colors, and there's a really big book at TV about what is official and what is not. And I synthesized all that information to come up with a uniform that I think is it's not going to make everybody happy because I'm not in that world where I believe it would. But for what we're trying to do, which is to bridge all the gaps between all of the alums and not just those that wore this particular uniform, but those that look at the uniform and say it does not represent the school color, we address that issue. But at the same time, the basic uniform is still Navy. I didn't change that because I didn't want to change the appearance of the uniform. When I look at TV's uniform, that's who I see. I see TV.
Okay.
And for me, going too far away from that would be establishing basically a different band. And I am not that arrogant by any stretch of the imagination to believe that TV was invented by me or has succeeded because of me. I don't have those particular hang-ups. I know that there were great men and women here before me, and there will be great men and women after me. So I am just trying to add another step in this particular set of stairs.
Very well put, sir. And with that, I am going to ask this last question. Is there a possibility that we will see a flash of this uniform November 24th?
We're shooting for it. You notice how I didn't commit there.
I understand. You let me ask the tough question, and then if it doesn't work out, you say, well, Mike Prince is the one that said that, not Dr. Zachary. So I got you. Look, we always, I know you're working on it extremely hard, sir, and I appreciate you for that. I appreciate you for always making yourself available, shedding some light on what appears to be dim situations to bring some clarity, because that's what we're about here, is getting an understanding and some clarity, because we believe an educated listener becomes a better listener. And with that being said, sir, we're going to give you final thoughts and comments as we get ready to conclude this segment.
Well, I'd like to say, thank you to the PV Nation and anyone that supports the Marching Storm or the university for all that you've done and all that you do. Because at the end of the day, what the band does, all of those hours of what we call road work as it relates to boxing and hard work when it comes to music, we do this because of our desire to make sure that when you hang the banner up on your car or in your car or at your house, that we are representing what you consider excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. He is Dr. Tim Zachary, the head band director for the Prairie View A&M University Marching Storm. I am the radio guy, the Dr. Mike Prince. Remember, our social media handles are at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, The Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel is Open Mic Broadcast Network, and of course, our website is obnradio.com. And until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.